Hello, everyone. Now I'm Aaron here today, and I've got my colleague Chris. Hi, Chris. How are you doing today?
Hi, Aaron. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, very good, very good. So today we're going to be running a course on building an online presence for accountants. Okay. Now, I've been running my firm for over 20 years. I've made every mistake possible out there when it comes to marketing. I've pretty much tried most things as well. And over the next hour or so, myself and Chris are going to distill everything you need to know about building the online presence for your firm. Now, obviously, we're going to try and kind of provide 20 years of interest and useful information down into about an hour. Okay, obviously, not everything will be covered, but you might get a taste of it. And I hope you will find it very useful, because I think it will be very useful for you if you're serious about building a strong presence today in this changing kind of online environment. So are we ready, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely.
So before we kick it off, though, do you want to kind of give a quick rundown of what we're going to cover and what the main areas?
Yeah. So today we're going to be looking at websites and search engine optimization, which, for those who don't know, SEO is essentially trying to get to the top of Google. The higher your website is on Google, the better your SEO. That's kind of what it boils down to. I will say, though, that we're not going to be covering that much of building the website, because the idea is if you don't know enough to build the website yourself, you're not going to learn enough in a course like this, and it's just not worth doing. You need to get someone to do it for you. If you do know enough to do it yourself, then there won't be as much value in this. So we'll have a look at a little bit at building the website, but that's more so that you kind of know what you're looking for when you talk to web developers, because you'll need someone professional to make sure it's done correctly. But
Correct.
search engine optimization, again, you can get someone to do it for you, but that is something you can do yourself. And even if you do get an SEO person in, it's really good for you as the business owner, as the expert, to have a hand in the search engine optimization. So it's really, really important that you know what's going on with SEO. So we'll be covering mostly SEO today, making sure you get your online presence as good as possible.
Okay, so in a nutshell, we're at this point here, we're kind of making it a taken that they'll have a website. Someone will have a website.
Mm-hmm.
It's hopefully a decent website.
Yeah.
Okay, that is getting traffic of quality traffic to it. But what we're really looking at here is how to get yourself to the top, or much nearer to the top of Google. That's our
Yes, absolutely.
remit today. Correct?
Yeah.
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 Okay. All right. Cool. So let's crack on. Let's go for it. Hopefully, we can share some useful information to people.
Brilliant. Let's get started. Right. So quickly, who we are.
Yeah.
Aaron, do you want to quickly introduce yourself?
Yeah. My name is Aaron, and I'm the CEO of Samera. We started off as an accounting firm many years ago, and we provide accounting and tax services to firms here in the UK, all kind of dental, medical, vet, pharmacies, that type of thing. As part of the group, we also run a commercial finance part of the business. And a few years ago, we started off doing some offshoring, not just for ourselves, but helping other clients, other firms, other accounting firms, where they're offshoring us, providing year-end accountants, bookkeepers, tax return people. And so now we're very much entrenched in the accounting and offshoring space. And one thing I enjoy the most about running my business is the marketing side of things. So that's why Chris has dragged me in here to kind of impart my experience with his kind of technical expertise as well.
And I'm Chris O'Shea. I'm head of marketing for the Samera Group. I started here about 6-7 years ago, started off doing the social media, then moved into SEO, and now I look after the marketing kind of across the board. And SEO is my specialty. It's kind of what I'm best at. So it's what we will be looking at today. And hopefully I don't go too deep into it, but I love talking about SEO. So
I'll warn you if you do.
Yeah.
All right.
Right. So we'll look. This is what we're going to cover. So again, building the website, we'll look at the basis of it. But again, you need a web developer. Search engine optimization you can do yourself, but web development is not something you want to take a risk on or do cheaply. So we'll then look at SEO. We'll look at on-page and off-page. We'll look at different ideas within the sphere, where it's going, basically what you need to know to make sure the SEO is good for your website. So let's get
Can I
started.
just add in there?
Yeah.
Well, I think one thing you mentioned is that you can build a website yourself. You can do the SEO, so you can do that, and there's no doubt about it. But quite often or not, you won't have the time to do it. So
No, exactly. But it's really important you know what needs to be done. Because
correct, yeah.
otherwise,
Yeah, absolutely. So I think this is where I've seen so many people go wrong. They don't have a clue about what a website should be and how it operates, how SEO operates. So the idea today is for us to impart our expertise for you to ask the right questions when you do go and hire a web developer, or if you do go and hire a web SEO person. That's the thing. Now, if you do want to get your hands dirty and do it yourself, of course you can do it. But as someone who runs a firm, you need to build a team around you, and that's the key. And hopefully we'll give you some tips and knowledge for you to build that team around you today.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the thing with web development is it doesn't really matter what industry you're in. The website structure is going to be the same. So a web developer doesn't need to know anything about accountancy for the website to be structurally sound. But with SEO, it's so dependent on the topic. So in this case, accountancy, that it's going to be quite rare that you find an SEO expert who knows a lot about accountancy. So you're going to have to check everything. You're going to have to help them with the content topics, because you can say to them, right, I'll run an accountancy website. You're my SEO person. Off you go. They're not really going to know what to write about.
Yeah.
They're not experts. So the web development, anyone can do. Any web developer. The SEO, you do need to have a hand in, at least just to check their work. So it's really important to also know what their work is.
Okay, cool.
So importance of impression on a website, fairly obvious to most people, but we'll go over it. First impression, it's hopefully, depending on how good your SEO and what your marketing strategy is, it's probably going to be the way people find you. You might want to focus on social media, you might want to focus on outreach, but for the most part, the website is going to be the first place they find you. That may change in the next 5 to 10 years with AI and search engines, but at the moment, the website is the first port of call. Obviously, it's 24/7 presence. It's not like having a shop front where someone has to be on reception. It's just sitting there. So you need to make sure people can find it, because otherwise it's like having a shop front in the middle of nowhere. No one's going to find it. You can't rely on the footfall. But with a good website, you can just let it do its work. It's a perfect place to showcase your expertise and your services. Anyone can build a website. Anyone can build a good website. But only a good accountant will have success stories, will have reviews. And this is the place to show them off. Client convenience, it's what people want. People don't want to come to your shop anymore. They don't want to come to your office. They want to just find you online. They want to talk to you online. SEO benefits, it's just the perfect way to kind of get yourself in front of people's screens. And competitive advantage, it's the best way to stand out. There are other ways, obviously, but it's one of the easiest, one of the best ways to really set yourself apart from everyone else. Again, because you can do it with social media, but if you're a small to medium enterprise, you're going to be up against 100+ employee mega corporations who can funnel millions into their social media. But website is a much more of a level playing field. So let's get into it.
I think that's a really important point, actually, Chris. I think I love, we do a lot of marketing, we do social media, we do all range of things, okay? But nothing beats the return on investment.
Yeah.
SEO once you get it right, okay? Now, getting it right it's not an overnight thing. It's a massive long-term game plan and investment.
Absolutely.
But once you get that right, it's like the ROI is fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, if you could argue it, call it ROI, because you've just opened up, you've positioned your shop front in the heart of where all your potential clients are sitting.
Absolutely.
And therefore, they're coming to you day in, day out, or potential new clients are coming to you day in, out, rather than you putting your shop front in the middle of a desert of no one being there. Okay, so I think that's what SEO does. It plonks, if you do it right, it plonks you right in front of everyone you want to be in front of. Okay, and then they're knocking on your door to say, can I have your services rather than you having to outreach to them. That's the massive difference.
And one of the reasons for that is the algorithm behind SEO is so much different to the algorithm behind social media. So social media, it's all about going viral. That's what the algorithm wants. It wants it to be flashy. It wants it to be easily digestible. It wants it to work on Instagram or LinkedIn, so people will scroll through and then it will catch their eye. That's so much different to what happens on SEO. And a good example of that is our course on how to grow an accountancy firm. For a lot of the keywords, it's now number 1, number 2, number 3 on Google. So we're beating Sage, Zero, those kind of organizations. On social media, we're never going to be able to beat them. And very few people are, because they can funnel so much into visual content, into basically they can game the social media algorithm so much better. But the SEO algorithm is so much harder to game because it's not about being flashy. It's not about being an influencer. It's about knowing your topic. It's about being, we'll go into this with the EEAT scores a bit later, but it's about expertise, experience, authority, and trust. Whereas social media isn't. I mean, trust is not a thing on social media.
Trust is the bottom of the list, isn't it?
Exactly.
Really?
Expertise is not a thing on social media, but Google cares about this kind of thing. Yeah. So being good at what you do is going to work so much better on SEO. And that's kind of why we focus on SEO. We do a lot of social media work, but SEO, like you said, Aaron, is just so much. It's just such a better ROI. It plays into, especially accountancy, but it plays into a business owner's hands far more than social media does. Yeah. That plays into an influencer's hands.
All right, well, let's carry on. Sorry, we're kind of going.
No, that's a good point.
Too early, but it's very relevant to talk about this. So carry on, Chris.
Right. So this is a basic overview of what you need on your website. Again, your web developer should know all this, but again, this is why we're going over this, because if they don't know all this, if they haven't done this, then you've hired a cowboy. So it's true, and there are a lot of them out there. So it's really important you know what you're looking for, even if you're not doing the work. So you need a homepage, obviously, clear and concise introduction to your firm. You need a summary and call to action buttons. So that's things like contact us, schedule, subscribe, any button you want people to click. Not a link on a menu, but something you want them to do that takes an action. And it's usually something to do with contacting you. And they need to be everywhere. So if you go onto our website, you'll see them all over the place. About us, again, on our course, we go into things like mission statements and vision. It may sound a bit flaky, a bit airy-fairy, but they are really important, not just for audiences, but for yourself. So you need an about, you need your team, you need to kind of show the human side of the business. You can't just say, right, this is our accountancy firm, this is what we do, contact us. You need to let people know who you are, where you've come from, and what you want to accomplish. So yeah, team biographies, photos, all the professional credentials not only helps with your clients and your customers, it helps with the SEO. Again, we'll go into this a bit later, but that's really important. And personal stories. Everyone, especially the younger an audience gets, the less they care about the boring side of things, and the more they want to buy from a person, not just necessarily a service, if that makes sense. So service pages, obviously you need to tell people what you do, and these are perfect places to get your SEO work in, because you get to talk about tax preparation, you get to talk about expenses, tax filing, that kind of thing. Talk about the benefits, talk about your process, not just, right, this is tax preparation, this is what it is. You need to explain to people what you do, how you do it, and what makes you stand out from anyone else in the sphere. And case studies are all important. You can't just say, right, here's what we do, here's how we do it. You kind of need to say, and here's X Limited who we helped, and here's how we helped them, and this is what we did, and here's a video from them talking about how great we are, that kind of thing. So you need reviews, you need case studies, but again, we'll go into that a bit later on why that's so important. But this is a basic overview of what you need, and you need things like contact page. Again, not just for your customers, this is for Google. So you need your address, phone number, email, business hours, contact form, and put the Google Maps thing on there. Even if you don't want people coming to your office, it's kind of important for SEO. and it just makes you look more trustworthy. If you've got a bricks and mortar office, you look a bit more reputable than just someone who just has a website. Because again, anyone can get a website, but having an office just makes you look a bit more trustworthy. So make sure you got that on there. Blogs and resources. This is the key to your SEO. So search engine optimization is going to be all about getting content out there, getting information out there, and kind of teaching people. And the best way to do that is with a blog, with webinars, with a podcast, and you need them on the website. So have a blog and a resource page. And then you can have a completely separate section for all your testimonials and case studies. Again, people want to see that kind of thing. They're not, it's called social proof. People want to buy from someone that they trust. And if they don't know you, they need to know other people trust you. So once upon a time, you would just ask people in the area, who's the best local accountant? But with the internet now, you're always going to go with the company, no matter what the service is, that have the best reviews, especially Google reviews or Trustpilot. Whether it's an accountant or a restaurant, that's kind of the first thing you're going to look at for most people. So get your testimonials on there, get your case studies, whether it's a widget with all your Google reviews or whether you just copy and paste them. We do both, and I'd recommend you do both. But yeah, anytime someone says something nice about you, get it on the website because it makes you look good. Right, again, these are largely for web developers, but if your website's not doing well, you kind of need to know what to tell your web developer to improve on. So these are the most important things. User experience is literally what it says. It's the experience of the user. If they have a good experience on your website, Google knows this and they will rank you higher. And if people have a bad experience, Google knows this and they'll rank you lower. So things need to be easy to navigate. The menu has to be simple. Don't have a menu, then they click this, there's a submenu, they click that, there's a submenu. You want to have, everything needs to be within like 3, maybe 4 clicks of your homepage. Don't make it complicated, keep it simple. That's really, really important. Fast loading times has become one of the most important things. So this site you can test on Google for free. You can literally Google website speed test, put your website in, and it'll give you marks out of 100, either red, amber, green. Make sure everything's green. If it's not, go to your web developer and just say, speed up my website. And they're going to have to work on it. It takes a lot of work. Again, this is not something you can just do on your own. You will need a web developer to do. It's something we and our web developer have worked on for years now. And our speed's really, really good. And that's one of the reasons our websites do well. And mobile responsiveness. When I first started on SEO, they said mobile is important. 30% of your traffic will come from it. Now, mobile is more important than desktop. More than 60%, I think it is, of your traffic will come from people on a mobile. So really, when you're building a website, you need to do it on the mobile view because it's a lot rarer that people are going to be scrolling on a desktop now. So everything kind of has to be made for mobile, at the very least, a tablet. So design elements, obviously it needs to look professional. It isn't 2002 anymore. You can't have little animations and noises and weird things like that. It needs to be clean, professional. Aesthetics in website change every 5 to 10 years. At the moment, we're going through a clean, minimalist aesthetic, and you may want to stand out from the crowd, but with websites, if it kind of doesn't look like every other website, it either looks out of date or it looks untrustworthy. So you really want to stick with a clean, modern aesthetic. Make use of white space, keep things simple. It works for the customer and it works for Google. I'm going to say that a lot, but it's really, really important because Google, their algorithm is so good now. They will know whether your website's good. They'll know whether it looks good, and it will affect your rankings. Technical aspects, again, this is for web developers, but it's really important you know it. It needs to be secure, so it needs to use HTTPS. You need to regularly update and maintain it. So yes, they're going to have to work on it a lot, but they will need your input. So you need to check your website at very least once a month. Go on every page, click every link, click every button, make sure it all works, make sure it's clean, make sure it's quick, and make sure it's stable, which is something we'll go into a little bit later. SEO friendly is the point of this, so we'll go into more during the webinar. And accessibility, really, really important. What that means is for people who have visual impairments, let's say, your color contrast has to be on point. You can't have a dark background with a slightly lighter font. It needs to be, and again, Google will know this, so it needs to be a very sharp contrast. This is something, again, you can Google, just Google like accessibility test, put your website in, it will tell you, right, this background is not dark enough. You can't, people with a visual impairment won't be able to read it. And over the next few years, voice recognition and voice reading is going to become more important as well. So that's something you're going to have to look into with a web developer, because people who are completely blind, let's say, will use screen readers. And there are other disabilities like inability to type, that kind of thing. You're going to have to really make concessions so that your website is accessible to everyone. But again, it's something I would just Google accessibility website test, stick your website in, see what it comes out with, and then let your developer know. Right, so let's get into the meat of this SEO. So search engine optimization, essentially getting to the top of Google. There are other search engines, but Google is the most widely used one. So when I say Google, I mean as well Bing and Edge, but Google is the big one. So that's really what I'm going to be talking about. So why is it important? Increased visibility gets you higher. The higher you are, the more traffic you get. And the more traffic you get and the higher you are, the better your credibility, the better you look, the more people are going to trust you, the more customers you're going to get. So SEO is kind of, in a modern digital world, the key to lead generation. Right, so these are kind of the main topics you'll need to know. So keywords, essentially they're the tags Google use to determine what your website's about and whether to link it to a search. So if you were to search, I don't know, best accountant is a keyword, best is a keyword, tax return is a keyword. So if they type in best tax return accountant, Google is hopefully going to then link it to either a blog you've done on tax returns and how to find the best one, what to look for in a tax return accountant, or it's going to take them to your tax return service page. And that depends on which one you've optimized the best for SEO. My instinct on that would be to link it to a blog, because then you can link through to the service page, but you can get so much more SEO work on a blog. So that's what I would go with. But that's essentially what a keyword is. It's just a tag that Google uses to link up a search to a website. On-page SEO is all the SEO you do on the website, which I'll show you more about later. And off-page SEO is stuff like backlinks, which is where another website links to you. It's all the work you do on Google My Business, which is when you search anything on Google that's a business, you'll have the search results here. Then on the side, it'll have a little box with that business in there, and it'll have their opening hours and their links and that kind of thing. That's Google My Business. And technical SEO is the stuff your web developer is going to do. Speed of the website, making sure it's stable, making sure it's mobile friendly, that kind of thing. So how does it work? First, you publish a page, then Google crawls your website, which is where it basically looks through them all, looks through all the pages. Then it indexes it, which is where it puts it on the Google search. It kind of decides how good it is, where it's going to be, and then ranking is when it then puts it somewhere on the Google search, hopefully in the top 10 at the very least. Right, so
one question, Chris.
Yeah.
Just going back. So we use as a website. From our experience, a page will get crawled, it'll get indexed, we might get a position shown, it might rank relatively soon. How often is Google searching?
So Google does it fairly regularly, but you can force it to index your website. So anytime you make a change or add a new page, you can go onto Google Search Console, which is Google's kind of back end for your website.
Yeah.
And you can get it to re-index your website. So it will do it. I mean, if I were to publish a new page today, it'll appear, if it's good, it'll appear on Google tomorrow. But if I wanted it to happen today, I can force Google to re-index it, and it should be doing it once a day, every other day at the most. But you can force it to happen.
So if we might rank today in position 2, and next week we could rank in position 1, and the week after that we could rank in position 10. You know, is that right? Yeah,
that can happen, and that has happened with us. So, this year we've released blogs that a couple of days later were number 1 or number 2, because the SEO was so good and the content
for certain keywords.
Yeah, for certain keywords. Yeah. But if we were to then leave it and not touch them, not really work on them, a few months from now, there's a good chance they're going to be they'll have dropped down to 10th. And it might not even have anything to do with us. Maybe we do. So we were talking earlier about stock market is going through a little bit of a dip today. If we did a blog on that, it could get to number 1 within a few hours if it was good enough. But maybe 10 other companies did better quality content blogs than we did. Maybe their SEO was better. Maybe their off-page SEO was better. And then by tomorrow, they could have just pushed us down. So sometimes it has nothing to do with the work you've done. It's just that other people are doing it better, which is always a good excuse to do some competitor research, find out why they beat you, and do it yourself.
Correct. And then I suppose in terms of we're ultimately is when you're writing content or creating content and identifying keywords to try and target for, you need to kind of think, okay, quite often there's some very, very competitive keywords which will be difficult to rank, which will be very difficult to rank for, because you've got lots and lots of people trying to compete for that. Whereas if you try and compete for, I suppose, the rarer keywords, the long tail, as they say, if someone types in a combination which is quite rare, but you dominate that space every time, then that's you're going to win, aren't you? Really?
Yeah.
In that effective auction, I guess. So
yeah. So let's say you have a certain niche that you cover, like dentistry for us. Our accountancy firm covers UK dentistry. It's our bread and butter. If we have a blog on expenses and deductions, I mean, how many people have got blogs and services about tax deductions? Loads. That keyword, we're probably not going to get to number 1 for. But what can a dentist claim for? It's very specific. Millions of people are going to search for tax deductions. At most, I think there's a few tens of thousands of dentists in the UK. Some of them are going to search for what can a dentist claim on expenses. We can nail that, and we have. But we can nail that keyword. And even though we're getting much less traffic out of that keyword, it's all qualified leads, because only dentists who are looking for tax deductions are going to Google that. And like you said, that's called a long form or a long tail keyword. So tax deduction, that's a keyword. What can a dentist claim for on expenses is a long form one or a long tail one. And those are the ones you really want to go for, because, like you said, a generic keyword, it's going to be hard for you to rank for. But a specific question that someone's asking on Google, you can rank for that. If you answer it better than anyone else and your SEO is good, you can get to number 1 for that. And then the people who are Googling that, who are your target market, are going to find you first. So that's really, really important. You have to be very careful and very strategic about which keywords you're going to target. Because you might be great at tax deductions, but that keyword you're not going to win for. But if you cover a certain niche, then you can win that. Or if there's a certain side of it or a certain aspect of it that not many people are Googling and there aren't that many blogs on specifically about that, you can nail that. So that's really, really important. There are tools that, like these ones, that will help you do that. So you might already have in your head an idea of what keywords you want to target, but if not, there are loads of tools out there that will help you do that. So Google Keyword Planner is a free one. SEMrush, some of it's free, some of it's paid, and Ahrefs is a paid one that we use all the time. But Google Keyword Planner, you tell it what your website's going to be about, you tell it what you want to cover, it will give you keywords, and it will tell you how difficult it is to rank for them. It'll tell you how many people are Googling that. It will show you what pages are ranking for that keyword already. And that's a really great free tool. And I'd really recommend doing that. That's probably your first port of call with SEO, is sorting out your keywords, because you can't make content without knowing what it's going to be about. And you can't know what it's going to be about until you know what's going to work. So yeah. And Ahrefs is a paid one, but it's infinitely valuable. We use it every single day. But Google Keyword Planner will work. It's brilliant. So again, long tail, they're the ones you want to go for, really. There. So tax preparation, difficult. Tax preparation services for small businesses, still difficult, but will be easier to rank for. So if you can narrow that down even further for whatever your niche is, instead of small businesses, it's going to be even easier. And if you offer very specific services or benefits, even better. They're the ones you want to start ranking for. Content optimization. I'm going to show you some of this later. I'll go through one of our blogs and show you how to do all this. But things like the headings need to be in heading tags. The keyword has to be done naturally throughout the content. So 10 years ago, you could just make a blog about tax preparation that would go, tax preparation is very important. And tax preparation is something that we do all the time. And tax preparation works like this. Google knows what you're doing now. It's called keyword stuffing. So you have to really write. You don't write for SEO anymore. You write for the user. And that is an update that came in a few years ago. And so many websites got hit with that. So many websites plummeted because they'd written for SEO. They'd written to get to the top of Google to try and game the system. But Google, with AI algorithms, Google just clicked what people were doing and said, right, no, it has to be written for the user. So it has to be natural. It has to sound like you're actually trying to teach people. Readability. My favorite way of explaining this to people is go on BBC website, go on BBC News, click any article and try and find a paragraph that's more than 2 sentences long. You won't be able to do it. And now go on any other website and realize they're all the same. So paragraphs now on the biggest websites are a sentence long, and the sentences are 1 clause long. The instinct is always to write for like degree level. You want to write an essay on the topic. You don't do that anymore. You write short sentences, short paragraphs. It needs to be really easy to read. And not just easy, it's if people go on a website and they see a block of text, you're just going to get put off. Psychologically, that's just harder to read. But if that one block of text is split into, instead of 10 sentences, it's 10 one-sentence paragraphs, it's just easier to read. It's easier to scan. It's easier to digest. That's kind of how you need to write now. And internal linking, if you've got a page on tax returns and you mention, deductibles and expenses, you then link that word to your page on expenses and deductibles, or the blog you wrote on expenses and deductibles, or the webinar you did on it. Again, go on Wikipedia is a perfect example of this. Go on there, and Wikipedia is just internal links. That's pretty much everything there is on the page. Every time they mention something, they link to the page on that topic, and you need to do the same thing. Meta tags, that's what shows up in Google when you see the search results. If you were to Google Samera Global, the title tag will be Samera Global, I think a line, and then the tagline. And then the meta description is the 150, 160 words or character little description of the business. And they're really, really important. Image optimization, they need to be small, is in file size. They can't be big because otherwise they're just going to slow the website down. And they need to be their alt text, which is when you hover your mouse over an image on a website, there'll be a little yellow box with some text on it. That's the alt text, and that's for accessibility. If someone can't, if someone has visual impairment, their screen reader will read out the alt text and tell them there was an image of this. URL structure. If you have a blog with a 15 word title, the URL can't be 15 words. It has to be short. So instead of, if the title is, here's how to do tax deductions for dentists and make sure they work, just make the URL dentist tax deductions and avoid special characters. As someone with a special character in my surname, I can tell you that it gets really annoying when you can't put that into a system. So, and websites are often the same. They don't like things like apostrophes in URLs, so get rid of them. Page load speed, probably the most important thing. Everything has to be quick and it has to be stable. So keep your images small, minimize things like widgets and elements and JavaScript, and use browser caching. That's something to bring up with your developer, but it essentially is just a way of getting rid of cookies and memory, that kind of thing, to make sure your website is as quick as possible. Right, so off-page SEO. Backlinks is one of the most important. So if you have a blog and someone else mentions it on another website and then links back to you, that's a backlink. And the better the website that links back to you, the better the backlink. So if you have a backlink from backlinksforyou.org, it's not going to do anything. But if you have a backlink from Xero or Sage or QuickBooks, that's going to do a huge amount because they're a reputable big business that's in your sphere. So you could have a big website link back to you. It won't do as much as another accountancy related website, but also local ones. So if your business is in, I don't know, Oxford Street, then if other businesses around Oxford Street link to you, you're going to show up higher in Google when someone Googles you in Oxford Street. Because if I type in accountant near me, Google's going to look for the most reputable one near you. And other websites in the area linking to you shows Google, right, they're a local business person and the other businesses trust them and they link to them. So that's really, really important, getting links from your industry and from your area. And social media engagement, a few years ago, didn't really matter, but it's becoming more and more important. It's brand SEO. So your brand has to be out there. It has to be on social media. You have to have a good presence. The more shares and likes and comments you have will affect your SEO on Google now. Again, that wasn't the case even 2-3 years ago, but Google is looking for new ways to rank your brand, and SEO is probably the best way to do that for them. Right, and here's some other ones. 1 second. So local SEO, again, on Google My Business, that's the information Google holds on you. Your information needs to be up to date. You need to update it regularly. Try and add images, try and add, it's where all your reviews are held as well. So that's hugely important. You really need to encourage reviews from as many people as possible. And you need to answer them, whether they're good or bad. You need to look like you're reaching out to people, that you're answering people. Local directories, things like Yelp, Yellow Pages, they're UK ones. I'm not sure how many countries around the world use them. I know they're in America as well, but there'll be local directories everywhere. You might have a local chamber of commerce. You might have your local council or state department might have business directories. Get yourself on them. Again, in the UK, the government have one called gov.uk where you can put your website on there. They're really, really important. And reviews. Reviews are one of the biggest things. Speed and reviews are probably the two most important things in SEO at the moment. Would you agree, Aaron?
I think speed for sure. I think people, if you don't have a website that loads quickly and then gives you the information you want, people just kind of click off and go elsewhere. I think in terms of reviews, they're important. Is it easy to get reviews from customers and clients to go on Google? It's actually quite difficult. I know that myself. We've tried, and even though they're happy, people are quite reluctant or just useless to give reviews, and you can't really incentivize people to give reviews either.
No, you can't.
That's Google's policies,
and it's just natural. Like, I've had great meals at restaurants and thought, I'm going to give these guys a review, and then I get home and I forget about it, and then a week later I remember and I'm like, I can't bother now. It's just the way people are. So don't be downhearted if you're not getting the reviews you want. You might be giving great service, but people are just lazy.
Bottom line,
it's going to be hard to get reviews, but the more you get, the better you'll do. So do try and chase people about them. Content marketing, that's kind of the bread and butter of your SEO, because you can't really rank without content, because what is there to rank? So you need to do things like answer questions. What questions you're getting from your customers, answer them in a blog, in an article, in a webinar, a podcast. You need to get out there. You need to show your expertise. People aren't just going to think, right, they're an accountant, they probably know what they're doing. They want to see that you know what you're doing. And the more you teach, the more you explain, the more they'll trust you. Visual content, obviously, is hugely important. So make infographics, make webinars, make videos, make animations, whatever you can to not just have a wall of text, because that'll put people off. And webinars and podcasts. Simple-ish to create, but have a real impact. And make them informative. Don't just... you're not Joe Rogan. Don't just chat. You need to really teach people. You need to have a point behind it. You need to give people a reason to tune in. So think of topics, think of topical things that are going on in the world at the moment. Explain them. People want an accountant to teach them. They want to know that you know what you're talking about.
Correct.
And online PR, this will help your backlinks, it'll help your content, and it'll help your local SEO. You need to get yourself into guest blogging. You need to get yourself onto other people's podcasts, other people's webinars, other people's websites. So you can either hire a PR firm who will do all this for you, or you can do outreach and just reach out to people. Like if you know people, then yeah, talk to your mates in the industry and get them to get you on as a guest on their podcast, webinar, or blog. Outreach can work really well, but yeah, there are digital PR firms out there that will help you with this. But that's, again, becoming more and more important. A few years ago, it wasn't as important, but again, Google is really starting to care about brand and brand awareness and brand identity, because one of the reasons for that is AI. If you want to answer, so like we talked about earlier, what can a dentist claim on tax returns? AI is probably going to answer that better, especially in the next few years, than a human ever will, because they'll know. The AI, especially Google's AI, will look at their search history and it'll know exactly what they're looking for, and it'll answer exactly what they want about it. Not just a brief overview and 1,000 words on different things about that topic. It'll answer exactly, right, here's what you can claim on. You've Googled this, so I know you're talking about this. Yes, you can claim on this. Before you've even really asked the specific question, that's how in-depth it's going to get. So just what, when, why questions aren't going to do as well in the next 5-10 years. Brand is what's going to do.
It's
better.
Trust. It goes back to trust. It goes back to trust. So, if a great example is, I always think of when I think about this is around DIY, like DIY shops. Okay, I can go online and find a company that will get me a cheap door handle. Okay. And you might get a cheaper price, okay, by doing some searching. But if I write door handle, pretty much B&Q will probably come at the top, okay, when it comes to search. Now, of course, they have a great website. They'll have lots of information. They'll have articles on door handles, whatever it may be. And therefore, most users will probably go with the one that's at the top. And because and B&Q are in the press, B&Q have got PR, B&Q have got all of the above that you've spoken about, Chris. Okay, and therefore B&Q is at the forefront of people's minds. Okay, and it's in the press, and ultimately, if it's in the forefront of people's mind, people will trust it. Okay, oh, they're the people to go for when I have to go and buy a door handle or whatever you want to buy. Okay, so now how does that work if you're a small player? It's more difficult. Okay, to be honest with you, therefore, as Chris said at the outset, it's about narrowing down into markets or niches that you can really dominate or kind of be strong in, or you have oodles of cash to be able to build a massive team to help you do this SEO thing, which is a lot harder for many people. So I think it's so important to think, okay, how can I put my content out there, put my information out there, do all this stuff that Chris is talking about, and ultimately build that trust? Because when you build trust, then your brand is going to get stronger and people will see it more, and then it has that compounding impact. Really, it's that power of it's like compound interest. The more you invest, the power it gets stronger and stronger. And similarly, this is exactly the same thing in terms of brand trust, the compounding power of brand trust.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to make things harder for small to medium enterprises, but it's not going to make it impossible. It's still absolutely doable. But SEO is changing a lot because of AI. Questions are going to be answered so much easier by Gemini or ChatGPT than with a blog.
Yeah.
And that's going to kind of change the game. It doesn't mean blogs are redundant, not at all, but it kind of changes what you need to do with them. So I'll go into it a little bit now, actually. A few years ago, Google brought out the helpful content update, which was one of the ones I talked about where a lot of websites took a hit because they'd been writing for SEO. So their page on tax returns was written for SEO. They took the 20 biggest FAQs they could think of. They answered them in a lot of depth. They made sure it was 5,000 words. It was essentially an essay so that Google, when it was looking for what page should I rank for tax returns, they found this website and it had loads of information. Whatever you wanted was probably on this page. And that was great at the time. But now you can just ask Gemini or ChatGPT and you don't have to search through a 5,000 word article. You can ask it exactly what you want and it will just give you the answer immediately. Yeah. So that's not going to be as important anymore. What it wanted was helpful content. So you need to give people a little bit extra. You can't just write for SEO. You have to write for your audience. You have to understand what your audience wants when they find your page. And that's what you need to give them. So that's things like added information, added value. So instead of just having an article, you need to give videos, infographics. You need to really think about the user and what they want, not what Google wants. So obviously, this webinar, a lot of it is about what Google wants from you. But the actual what you write about, not just how you present it, you need to think about, right, what does my perfect target audience want from this page? What am I trying to give them? And that's what you need to think about. Right, so here's some SEO tools we'd recommend. Google Analytics, obviously. That'll show you your website traffic, user behavior, what device they're using, where in the world they are. That'll give you the demographics of your audience. It will show you your conversions, your clicks. It's hugely important. You won't be able to run a website without analytics. And this is something you and your developer are going to be using. So get used to Google Analytics as soon as you can. Search Console, that kind of looks after the performance. So like it says here, it will show you errors. It will show you broken pages. It will show you, we'll go into something called Core Web Vitals in a bit. It will show you them. It's a way to kind of, Google Analytics shows how it's, what's happening on the page. Search Console shows how the website's performing. So that's hugely important as well. Again, your developer will be on this more than you. You'll probably be on analytics more than your developer. But yeah, really, really important. You need to keep an eye on it all the time. And here's some other tools we use. So SEMrush, Ahrefs, they're all about analyzing your website. Ahrefs is my favorite personally because it shows you so much. Not just about your website, but you can analyze every other website on the planet, essentially. Yoast and Moz are great for on-page SEO. So they're plugins. I'll show you them in a minute. That when you put a blog on, it'll give you a checklist, essentially, and say, right, here's the keyword I'm going for. It will then show you, you've got 66 out of 100, let's say, or you've got the green light or the orange light or the red light. It'll give you a ranking. And it will show you, right, you've not done your internal linking. You've not done external linking. You've not done this. You've not done that. So they're the perfect way to start off. Give it a year or two. You'll kind of know what it's looking for. You might not need to use it anymore. But as a start off for SEO, something like that is essential. Right, and here's the key metrics that you need to look at. So obviously organic traffic. If the traffic's not going up, something's not working. So keep an eye on that. Bounce rate is when people land on your website. If they leave immediately, that's a bounce. If the bounce rate's high, then something's wrong because they're landing on your website and immediately thinking, nah, it's not for me. So that's either something to do with your content, the content isn't what they were looking for, or it's something structural. So they went on your website, it took too long to load, and they left. And when I say took too long to load, I mean more than half a second, because that honestly is as long as it takes for someone to get frustrated and click away. Conversion rate, how often you get conversions. People land on your website, they stay on your website, but are they booking a call? Are they filling in your contact form? Are they subscribing to your newsletter? You need to make sure that that's as high as possible. Keyword rankings, obviously, how high you are in Google. So something like Ahrefs will rank that for you. You can tell it, here's the keywords I want to track. Let me know when I get into the top 5. Let me know once I've dropped out of the top 10. They're really, really important because you might have a great piece of content, but if it's 99th in Google, it might as well not exist. There's an older saying in SEO, the best place to hide a dead body is the second page of Google because no one ever looks there.
That's so true, isn't it?
Yeah, no one ever looks there. When was the last time you went through the top 10 and thought, no, I'm just going to see what's on the next page? If what you're looking for isn't in the top 10, you're going to refine your search. You're not going to look at the next page. Yeah. It's just not what people do. So even being 11th, yeah, that's great, but is it going to get you any traffic? The dip between 10th and 11th is astronomical, just like the dip between 1st and 4th. You think there's not much in it, but just psychologically, people assume, oh, you're number 1 for a reason. And hopefully that's going to change because a few years ago, that reason was SEO. The person in the top 5 in Google wasn't necessarily the best at their industry. It was just the person who was best at SEO. And that's kind of what Google's trying to stop because they realized you don't have to be great at what you do. You just have to be great at SEO to get to the top. Yeah. And they're trying to change that now, which is actually really, it's terrible for people like me who do SEO, but it's great for everyone else, especially the user. And backlinks. Get as many backlinks as you can from reputable websites. Again, don't get them from nothing websites. It needs to be something that people have heard of, or at least that is reputable. And things like Ahrefs will track that. They'll let you know what the domain rating is, it's called. So the domain is your website, and it'll rank these things out of 100. And so I think like Facebook, I think is 99. But if you've got backlink from something that's 1 or 0, you might as well not have it.
And also don't pay for backlinks as well.
No, never pay.
Companies sell you backlinks. That's a big no-no.
Yeah, don't pay. Pretty much in SEO, unless you're paying an agency to do something, don't pay a website for anything because Google will know and they'll mark you down for it. So here's some tips. Regular audits. Again, I said once a month, but it should be more than that. Programs like Ahrefs can do this for you, and I'd really recommend you get them to do it for you, but you need to do it yourself. Go on your website, every page, click every link, click every button, and make sure they all work. That's really, really important. And especially if you've got someone writing for you, if you've got an SEO person working for you, you need to check all their work, because if they write something that's wrong or that doesn't align with your values, it could sit on your website for years until you notice that. And God knows how many people that's turning away, or how low it's ranking you because Google knows, well, that's incorrect, and ranks you down for it. So check everything. Performance reports, again, things like the accessibility and the speed. Just Google website speed test. Check it once a month. Stick your website in there, stick your most important pages in there, see how it's doing. If it's going up, your developer's doing their job. If it's going down, something's going wrong, and you need to reach out to them to get that changed. And competitor analysis, it's the easiest way to do your research. If you're just starting out, or if you're trying to beat someone, go on their website, find out what they're doing. Don't copy it, but try and improve it. That's really, really, really important, competitor analysis. You need to find out what everyone else is doing, and you need to offer more. You need to be more helpful. You need to offer more benefits. You need to have better SEO, essentially. Continuous improvement. This is actually something we talked about in our team today. You can't just write something and then leave it, because Google knows that it doesn't want stale content, it wants fresh content. So try and rewrite things regularly, especially if you mention a date. Like if you've got a webinar, I don't know, how to do a tax return in 2023. It's 2024 now. Google knows that. You need to either do it again or just change the date. If there's new advice, new things in the industry, then obviously add them, but at the very least change the date in the title. But yeah, you need to do regular content updates, not just having a look at it, but refreshing the actual content, rewriting things, adding things, changing things, amending things. That's really important. And it's something we're actually going to start on in Samera today. Technical SEO fixes, again, in the audits, they're going to be broken links. You're going to have redirects. You're going to have slow pages. Change them all. Fix them all as quickly as possible. That's really, really important. And duplicate content. So you might have an article that will work in one place and in another place. So you put them in both. Don't do that, because if your SEO was expressed out of 100, 50 is going to go here, 50 is going to go there. Neither are going to get 100. So keep your content in one place. And slow page speeds, hugely important. User experience enhancements, again, mobile, make it good on mobile, make it like, how many times when you're looking on a website in mobile do you have to scroll to the side because something's a little bit too big for your phone screen? Google hates that, because people hate that. It's really annoying. You really want, like, if there's a table, I don't have to scroll across on the table to get it to fit into my screen. The website should automatically shrink it. And that's something your web developer will have to do, but that's really important. Again, there are websites where you can plug your website in and then you pick iPhone 10 and it will show you what it looks like on iPhone 10. Samsung S3, it will show you what it looks like on there. And you need to make sure that it looks and fits all of those devices. It's really important. And link building, constant, that's an ongoing job. It's really annoying, but it's really important. So keep that outreach going. Keep reaching out to other people in the industry, not necessarily competitors, but so if we take Samera, for example, we work with dentists on their accounts. So we want to try and get into the webinars, the blogs, the articles, the podcasts of someone, let's say, who builds equipment for dentists, because they're in the same sphere, and we'll get a backlink from them. They'll get a backlink from us. That kind of thing. So not necessarily competitors, but people in your sphere. But with an accountant, you're kind of lucky because everyone needs an accountant. You might have a particular niche, but any business or anyone who talks about finance or business management or business support could talk to you, and you can talk about accounts generally. So just reach out as often as you can. Try and get as many backlinks as you can. Okay, so let's have a look at some specific things. Mobile SEO. Again, that's just how good your website looks on a mobile. And a few years ago, it was important, but it wasn't the most important. It went from mobile friendly, which is what we used to call it. Make sure your website's mobile friendly. Now it's called mobile first. Your mobile needs to be the first thing in your head, not desktop. So there's a common phenomena where random scrolling, research, learning is all done on a mobile. But as soon as you want to do something, a lot of people, especially anything above Gen Z, will do it on their desktop. But that's once they've made the decision. So the finding, the lead generation is going to be done on a mobile. The lead conversion will probably be done on a desktop. So it's really your mobile SEO you need to worry about more. So pretty much all websites, over 50% of their traffic will come from mobiles. It's not desktops anymore. So yeah, you need to be on the mobile view or preview when you're building this. And Google cares about it more. You can have a great desktop website, but if it's not formatted properly for a mobile, Google's going to hate it and it's going to mark you down. So here's the key elements: responsive design. So again, think about when you've got a table on your desktop website. If you then look at it on a mobile and it doesn't fit into the mobile screen, and it's like the mobile screen ends here and the table's out here, and they've got to scroll along to see all of it, Google's not going to like that, because people don't like that. So everything needs to fit. And again, this will be a lot down to your developer, but you need to be aware of it. Mobile page speed. The speed is going to be different on a desktop and a mobile. Anytime you do these speed tests, it will give you a different mark for a tablet, for a phone, and for a desktop. So make sure worry more about it being fast on a mobile than it is on a desktop. That's the one that matters most. So there's loads of things you can do. So optimizing images. Don't put an image on your website that's like 5 megabytes. Google compress image. Put your image in, compress it to under 100 kilobytes. Use that instead. That's probably the easiest one to do. And then minimize things like Java and CSS files and elements and widgets. I know it's tempting to put as many fun, interactive things on your website as you can, but it slows it down. So unless it's necessary, don't put it on there. And mobile-friendly navigation, that's the menu, essentially. Make sure things are easy to find, because it's a lot easier to click with a mouse than it is to do it on your phone. So even things like making sure things are on the right-hand side of your screen, because it's easier for a right-handed person to click them with their thumb on a mobile. Google takes account of that kind of thing now, which is annoying for me because I'm left-handed. But even things like that, make sure you've got mobile in your head. Touchscreen optimization. Yeah, things like voice recognition, voice searching, that's going to become a lot more important over the next 5 to 10 years. So that's something you need to start thinking about as well. And local SEO is so much more important for a mobile. Mobile users are usually walking around. So if there's search like best accountant near me, Google's going to use their location from their phone. So you really need to make sure your local SEO is as good as possible. And mobile first indexing. It used to be mobile friendly, now it's mobile first. Google cares more about it. So it couldn't be more important. Right, core web vitals. This is a fun one. A few years ago, Google brought in the core web vitals update, which essentially meant your speed and structure became more important than your content. So again, it used to be how many keywords you had. And then they realized terrible websites were ranking because they were just writing good content, but the website itself was annoying people. So I'll show you some examples. LCP, largest contentful paint. That's the largest thing on your website, how long that takes to load. So how many times have you been on a website and there's a big video or picture or widget and it takes ages to load, and you're sat there looking at your phone or your desktop going, come on, load, come on, and now it's loaded. That annoys people, and they will either leave or just not like the website. So Google's going to mark you down for that. So you really need to make sure things are loading quickly. So the LCP should occur within 2.5 seconds. Again, it sounds like nothing, but waiting 2.5 seconds for a website is annoying. So you need to compress your images. You need to use as little JavaScript as possible. Even things like moving it down. So when you open a website on a mobile, if the first few things they see are text, that'll load really quickly. And then when they scroll down, that kind of gives that LCP time to load. So yeah, it's all that speed. First input delay. So essentially that's how long it takes them to interact. How long it takes the website to respond once they interact. So if they click a link on your website, they need to be on the new page within 100 milliseconds. If they click a link on your website and they're sat there for 2.5 seconds, they're going to get annoyed and they're probably going to leave, and that's just going to increase your bounce rate. Google will track that and they'll mark you down. So everything needs to load really quickly and respond really quickly. And cumulative layout shifts, that's when if you open, this happens a lot with ads on a website. If you open a website and there's a button here, and then just as you go to click it, something loaded above it and it moves the button down. Google hates that. So that's why everything needs to load quickly. Because if it shifts anything around, Google's going to hate it. So make sure it's stable. That's what we say. Make sure your website's stable. It needs to load exactly how it is, not loads the title and then the button, and then this loads and it pushes the button down, then this loads and it pushes that across. A few years ago, that used to happen a lot, especially people who had ads on their website. Quite often takes a long time for them to load, and it'll push things out the way. Still happens a lot on newspaper websites, and it's really annoying, and Google's going to mark you down a lot for it. So how to improve them? Optimize your images. Again, you can just Google this. To Google compress image, reduce file size, and there are infinite number of websites where you can do this for free. Reduce server response times. Again, this is for your developer, as is critical CSS and JavaScript. So you're basically just going to have to turn to your developer and say, reduce the JavaScript, reduce the CSS, or go to your server hoster and say, I need a faster website. They're going to make you pay, but it's worth it. So just make your website as quick as possible. First input delay, you need to get rid of all non-essential JavaScript. Again, I know how tempting it is to have lots of fun widgets and elements that they can interact with, but it's going to slow it down. So unless it's essential, don't have it on there. And the CLS, again, this is for your developer, but it's really important you know this, because when you do your monthly audits, if you see any of this happening, you can then turn to your developer and say, right, the website's not stable. It's shifting around when it loads. Improve it, please. Right, EEAT, mine and Aaron's favorite thing. This became big in the last few years as well. This is the experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness update. So again, a few years ago, I could have made a website about accountancy. And because I'm good at SEO, I probably could have got to #1 with it. But now Google's realized. Oh, don't tempt me. But now Google realized people were doing that. It wasn't about who was the best accountant. It was about who was the best at SEO. And now they want to change that. So they need to make sure that the maker of the website, the hoster of the website, the person writing the content has experience, they have expertise, they're authoritative, and they're trusted. So you need to start showing that on your website. So why does it matter? It means more quality content. Again, it's not just a random person from Fiverr or Upwork writing a 500-word blog for £5. It's an expert in the field giving their expertise, and it'll improve your search rankings. So how do you do it? You need to make authoritative content. So you need to show that you're an authority on the topic. Not just that you kind of know a little bit about it, but you're an authority. You're someone to be listened to. So that's in-depth, well-researched content, articles, webinars, podcasts that aren't just a brief overview that Gemini or ChatGPT could have answered. It's something that only an expert could have answered. So you need to showcase your credentials. So qualifications, certifications, if you've won awards, if you've been a speaker somewhere. Basically you need to show that you're not just a random person talking on the topic. You're an accountant. You're an expert. You've got letters after your name. That's kind of what you need to show. High quality backlinks. Again, you're less likely to get a backlink if you're not trusted or you're not an authority. So the more you got, the more you can show Google, look, these people trust me. These people listen to me. These people want to show their audiences what I've said on my website. So that's why backlinks are important. And security and transparency on your website. You need to show Google that you are not a scam website, that you're not a dodgy website. So you need to use HTTPS, your privacy policy, your cookies policy, all of that needs to be clear, concise, and up to date. And you have to have a good About Us page, again, to show that you're an actual person, not just a random website that's been made that's trying to get people to give money. Right, so experience. Just a quick overview of what each one is. Experience. So it needs to reflect your real life experience to show that you've actually done this before, you know what you're talking about. So you can share personal stories, you can share case studies. Your articles need to kind of relate to things you've done, your opinion, and you need to show practical examples and real world applications. So again, case studies and reviews. You need to kind of prove to people and to Google that you do actually have this experience. So expertise. It can't just be made by a random content writer. It has to be made by someone who knows the topic. So you have an author bio. At the top of each article, you'll have the title, date, and then written by your name or whoever you've got in the team, whatever expert you've decided is going to write that section. Have a biography with their qualifications, their credentials, their work history, essentially a CV, and show that you have a deep understanding of the topic. Again, you can't just be given a rough outline of what a tax return is. You need to show some added insights. Authoritativeness, show that you're an authority in the field. That's, again, your qualification and credentials, but it's also things like backlinks and showing that you're not just writing about this topic, other people are listening to you and they're showing you that they trust you and listen to you and want other people to read it by linking to you, by quoting you, by having you as a guest on their podcast or their website or their webinar. That's going to be more PR outreach, outreach on LinkedIn, that kind of thing. And trustworthiness, so that's things like your website is real, that it's trustworthy, it's not a scam. So privacy policy, HTTPS, that kind of thing. All right, international SEO. This is really, really important for a lot of businesses. If you're just a local business, it's probably not that important, but an accountant can work anywhere. So this is really important. You need to have different language pages. Obviously, English is a great starting point, but you're missing out on a lot of demographic and a lot of market share if you've only got an English website. So you can, again, this is something your developer will need to do, but you'll need to look over all the content. So you need to translate it into all the different languages you're going to need. And then you can basically tell Google, right, so someone's searching this in Denmark, here's the Danish version of this page, show them this one. Someone searching it in Argentina, here's the Spanish version of this page. So you need top-level domains. Either you can have Samera.com or Samera.co.uk like we've done, or you can have subdirectories. On our .com, we can have a page that is for Spanish users, for Punjabi users, for Chinese users, for Russian users. So it depends on how you want to do it. You can either have a website for each one, or you can have one website with subdomains underneath it for each language. And do bear in mind that you'll need to localize your content. So the content you have on your American website isn't going to be the same as the stuff you have on your German website or your Russian website, because idioms will be different, rules and regulations will be different, culture will be different, the examples you want to give will be different. So you can't just translate it for different websites. You need to kind of do a bit more work on that and make sure it's written for your target audience. So again, local keywords will be different. So you'll probably have to rework a lot of your content. A good example is on one of our courses, we talk about finance options. And if we were doing, if that course was targeting certain areas, the finance options for grants, let's say, will be different on everywhere, because the SBAs in America aren't offered everywhere, or if they are, they're not called that. So if we talk about R&D tax relief in the UK, they're not offered everywhere, so we wouldn't talk about that on every page. Everyone has different rules, regulations, options, idioms, cultures, so we need to rewrite things for different audiences, and that's really important to understand. And of course, there's legal considerations. Rules and regulations and statutes are not the same everywhere. Even if they're the same gist, they're going to be called different things. So you can't refer to an American state law on your German language website, because it doesn't apply to them. They might have the same rule, but it won't be from Mississippi State. It will be from the German regulation body. So that's really, really important. Site structure, what things are called, how things are organized is going to change through different languages and different cultures. So be prepared to kind of remap your websites if you're trying to target different market shares. Right, so a little bit quickly on some of the tools we use. This is a brief look at Ahrefs that I mentioned a few times. So you can put in a keyword and it will show you how hard it is to rank on the top 10 in Google. It will show you the search volume. It will show you, so this is the graph underneath it is the traffic share we have on Samera Global. And luckily it's showing, it's showing up. So you can see organic traffic value, average URL ranking, organic traffic, there's so much you can track on this. Ahrefs is really, really useful. You have to pay for it, but it's worth it. If you care about SEO, it's worth it. This is Rank Math, I think, but it's one of the plugins you can use to track your SEO. So yeah, like you can see here, it gives you a checklist of all the different things you need to hit to get your SEO as good as it can be. So yeah, it's covering things like where the focus, what keyword is used. Is it in the URL? Is it in the content? Is it in the meta description? How long it is, how long the URL is, whether you're using alt image, the text of the alt image, whether you're linking to external resources and internal resources. These are invaluable. If you work a lot on SEO, then it'll get to the point where you don't need this anymore. You'll have this checklist in your head already, but when you start off, you really need something like this, and they're free. So download one. Right, so let's go through some tips. Check competitors, especially if you're starting out. Decide what your target market is. Figure out what they're Googling, what they're searching for on Google. Find out who is appearing in front of them and see what they're doing. See why they're appearing in front of them on Google. Is their website incredibly well done? Do they have 1 million reviews that are all 5-star? If they do, that's dodgy. But check what your competitors are doing. It's the best way to get ideas, really, for what, if you're stuck for what kind of content you need, what webinars to make, what podcasts to record. Check what your competitors are doing. Don't copy them, but improve on it. Offer a better version, a more helpful version. So that's kind of my first port of call. That's what I would do absolutely first. What do you like about the website? What do you not like? What are their audiences like? What's working for them? And try and make it work for you too. Speed your website up. Talked about it a lot, but it's incredibly important. If you've got a developer, phone them up today and say, right, we need to speed the website up. Just Google speed website test, see what it is at the moment. If it's not at least 90 out of 100, you need to work on it. So yeah, talk to them, get them to improve it. Phone your hosting service, pay for a quicker internet. Anything you can do to even get a millisecond quicker. It's really important. Think about accessibility. The market share of people with accessibility issues may be very small, but Google cares about it. It wants to make sure that Google and websites are as accessible and equal as possible. So you really need to make sure you're getting that right. So yeah, again, Google accessibility checker. Set your website in, and it will tell you whether things are not contrasted properly color-wise, whether things are difficult to read, whether things aren't being picked up by sight readers, and change as much as you can, improve as much as you can. Call to actions sound simple, but you'd be surprised how many people don't have them on their website. Book now, call now, contact form, subscribe to the newsletter. Try and get people to do something on your page, because it gets them to interact with you. You might get a lead out of it. You might get a just an email out of it. But Google will also see that they've interacted with your website. So you'll get a lead and it will rank you higher as well.
I think if I could interrupt there,
yeah, of course.
Something that so many people forget to do, and it's on a website, it's just like have a phone number, have a button, form. Otherwise, if there's no call to action, all that hard work you've done on the SEO,
exactly,
you've got people to land on that page, it's just been wasted.
Yeah.
So don't underestimate how important that is. And maybe try and capture them into a newsletter or something like that as well.
Yeah, because I mean, if you've written an amazing article that's really helpful and teaches people, and they've learned so much, and like, yeah, I actually want to go with this service. Where do I click? Oh, how do I reach out to them? Oh, they've got a mobile number, but I don't really want to do that. I want to email them or book a call. Oh, I'll go somewhere else. That will happen. So give people as many options as possible. Some people want to phone you. Some people want to email you. Some people want a chatbot. Some people want to WhatsApp you. Some people want to book a call. Give them as many options as possible. Make sure that no matter what they want, they can contact you that way.
Correct. Yeah.
Keep it simple in all ways. Aesthetically, structurally, is really important. So what I like to do, anytime we make a new website, I give it to someone who's never seen the website before. And I say, find this page. And I come up with a random page. If it takes them more than 5, 6, 7 seconds, you've made it too difficult. it should be apparent where everything is. It should follow a logical step-by-step process, a logical flow, whether that be an article or a service or an about page. It needs to be 3 or 4 clicks and 5 or 6 seconds. Anything more than that, people get bored. They really, really will. And they will leave your website and find someone who did it quicker. Keep menus really simple. Keep them, use sub items, of course, but don't have like 5 different levels of a sub menu. That's just going to annoy people. Try and find a way to categorize and log things differently. Try and make it as simple as possible, because Google won't like it and audiences won't like it. And don't overcrowd with too much text. Yeah, that's both aesthetic and SEO. So try and keep things clean, minimalist, use white space, and yeah, don't overcrowd things, don't overcomplicate everything. Test regularly, couldn't be more important, because you can make it the best page in the world, and I guarantee within a couple of months, there will be a link broken on the page. Either you change something on another page that it links to that you forgot to change everywhere else, now there's a broken link, or you put a redirect in. It's really important. Things will break, things will go wrong. So check it as regularly as you can. I like to do it every 2 weeks. I literally spend an hour, and I try and go through as many pages as I can, and I click every link I can, just make sure everything looks good. It couldn't be more important. And try and do it on as many devices as possible, not just on your desktop. Try and do it on a mobile, try and do it on a tablet, because again, it'll look different on different devices. And keep your eye open for broken links, because Google hates that. If you click a link and it says 404, couldn't find this page, Google's really going to mark you down for that. So try and find as many as possible. And programs like Ahrefs will do that audit for you automatically and show you exactly where they all are. Work on your EEAT scores. Don't just write a blog. Add your own opinion. Add your own expert added value. Put your credentials on there. Put a case study on there. So yeah, think of it this way. What can you add to your content that AI can't answer? Because at the moment, if it's just what is a tax return, AI is going to, I don't care who you are, AI is going to answer it better than you can. So you need to add more content, because AI won't give advice. And I'm not sure it ever will in the foreseeable future, because that's just leaving Google, Microsoft open to too many lawsuits. They'll never give financial advice, but you can. So you need to give a bit more in-depth knowledge, and that's hugely important. That's where you can get an edge on AI. Right. I think that was all the slides I wanted to go through.
Yeah. Okay, Chris. So I think if I could summarize this, it's like almost an hour and a half on this subject, and you make it sound quite easy, but the true reality is actually quite difficult to do all this. It's hard work. It's
a full-time job.
Yeah, and some. Okay, and it's not just you. You have a team to support you as well. And the key, as you said, is simplicity. Okay, but the key is also to take that first step and start doing these different things. Okay, and trialing certain things. But to create a simple and effective SEO strategy is not easy. Okay. I think that's kind of a really important thing here to understand. But as I said right at the outset, if you put your focus and efforts into SEO, okay, assuming you have a great website, and then you put the effort into all the stuff that Chris has been talking about, this is just a drop in the ocean of what you need to do.
Yeah.
But start that process then. Long term, not short term, not maybe even medium term, but maybe it may even take 6 to 12 months to really start seeing some dividends. But then you'll start seeing dividends and start seeing, okay, that's why we do SEO, because I start getting really good clients. I start getting profitable clients. And bottom line, at the end of the day, it's not about getting traffic to your website. It really isn't. Okay, it's about getting the right traffic who will pay the right amount of money to make your firm a profitable business, period. Okay. There are many ways. It's easy. There are many ways to get lots of traffic to your website. You could stick it on social media and people will come and see it. But if it's not the right traffic, which isn't coming to you, and they're not going to purchase your services or purchase your products, it's a pointless exercise. So as he's outlined, there's so many things you have to consider. Yeah, no, very, very thorough. Now, I understand you're going to do a demonstration now.
Yeah, I thought I'd just I talked a lot about on-page SEO and H tags and interlinking. I just thought I'd show quickly what I mean by all that. Because obviously, again, there's so much more to SEO, but it's one of the first things you need to learn, and it's one of the things you yourself can check. Again, if you get someone to do the SEO for you, it's really important you know what to look for, because again, it's just to make sure you're not hiring a cowboy. Right.
So what I'm going to do then, I'm stopping at this point, okay? Because I think you've covered everything that you needed me to get involved in. Now you're going to show you can do this in a technical video. Do you want to do it in a separate video, or what do you think? Or
I can just share my screen, and I'm just going to go through one of our articles that I got from you. I'm just going to put on the screen and kind of show the SEO work I do on it. The simple SEO work.
Okay. So, well, I will leave everybody here at this stage. Okay. And I hope you found this course very, very useful. Okay.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Aaron.
Thanks.
Right. So let me share my screen. Right. Hopefully you can see that. Right. So this is an article. I've literally just copied and pasted it into the back end of our website. And I'm going to show you what I would do when I come to do the SEO for this kind of thing. So, structure. We're going to put a table of contents in because that's what Google likes. No headings found yet, not a problem. So this is a subheading. So what we're going to do is make it an H2 subheading. So every heading comes under an H tag because it's a heading. These are paragraphs. They come under a P tag because they're paragraphs. And if I have a subheading and then I want to put a subheading underneath it, so this is the next point within this, this is going to be H3 because they have to follow a logical structure. And then this is also an H3 because it's another point within it. So we're going to make that H3. This is also going to be an H3. This is going to be an H3. This is going to be an H3. Conclusion, this is another subheading, so this will be an H2. So that's what we mean by H tags. Sometimes you want to do things in a list, and you can do it in a list, but if you're going to put things in subheadings, you need to make sure that it goes logically. So let me show you what I mean by that. Let's have a look at our website. Well, I'm not sure it's showing that, so I'm not going to take the risk. Right, so interlinking. Let's have a look here. So takeaways from CrowdStrike. I'm going to make CrowdStrike the keyword for this page that I want to target. So no images appear on this page. What I would do is find an image related to either IT, CrowdStrike, or if you've seen our website, you can see at the moment we use kind of a conceptual images. So I would create that image, put it in here, and I would make sure I've got CrowdStrike in that alt text. So let's go back. Internal links, so no internal links. So what I will do here is I'm going to look through and try and find a good chance to get a link to one of our other blogs. So let's have a look. Business continuity planning. This is also a really good chance for you to think about what content you need to make, because I'm looking through here. A link here to a page on business continuity planning would be brilliant. So now I'm thinking, right, we're going to make an article on business continuity planning. Cybersecurity, right, we absolutely have an article on cybersecurity. So I'm just going to Google Samera Global cybersecurity. So we've got an article, 6 cybersecurity challenges for accountants. Perfect. Where's a good place to put it? I'm going to put it here. Investing in cybersecurity is not optional. I'm going to link that to this blog that we've done on cybersecurity challenges. And now, brilliant, that one's gone. So meta description length, that will be hosted down here. So again, this is what's going to show on Google. What I like to do is find, so here are 5 essential takeaways. I'm going to stick that in as the meta description. Perfect. Oh, we haven't actually mentioned it from the, make sure, what was it called? CrowdStrike. From the CrowdStrike outage. Brilliant. And now that's gone. So once it in H tags, I'm pretty sure we've already used it. We have, not sure why it's not picking that up. Use more key for, okay, so it wants you to use synonyms of it. Not really much we can do about that at the moment. CrowdStrike doesn't really have a synonym. SEO title is wider than the viewable limit, right? So the SEO title is this one down here. So like I said, you can't have 5 takeaways from the CrowdStrike IT. Like that can't be the URL because it's way too long. So I need to think of a way to shorten that a bit. So if I just get rid of these, right? No, it's not small enough. So let's just do 5 takeaways from the CrowdStrike outage. Right, so now it's a good length. And I can put in Samera Global for a bit of brand awareness. Oh, brilliant. Right, and now you can see that the SEO has gone to green. Sometimes it's as simple as that. Other things it wants. So keyword in slug. The slug is the URL, which is actually hosted up here. Right, so that's because it's not picking that up. It should be now. Okay. Well, what I'm going to do is save drafts. Oh, there we go. It just wasn't picking up this. So I'm going to get rid of these because we don't need these. Don't need that. They're kind of superfluous. Like you don't need it for about 5 takeaways. CrowdStrike outage. Okay, and there we go. Instead of having a 10 words URL, I've now shortened it to the most important keywords. So they're the ones that are coming up. So again, for structure, you want to categorize things. So let's go global accountancy. Let's go AI because it's similar. Oh, sure. Brilliant. Right. So I would put the feature image in here. The excerpt is what shows up on the front end of the website. On our blog page, I'll have the title and a little excerpt. This is this bit. Let's see what else it wants to pick up. Images. So that will go green once I make an image for it, but I'm not going to force you to watch me creating an image. Nothing we can do about this at the moment. And brilliant. So I've got an outbound link. I've got an internal link. Key phrase in introduction. Key phrase length is good. Brilliant. So this is essentially the basics of on-page SEO. And that's kind of what I want to show you, just a quick overview of it. So let me stop that. Right, so that's kind of the end of this lesson. In the next lessons, we'll be going over pay-per-click, social media, and other things related to digital marketing. So we look forward to you joining us on those. If you would like an SEO audit of your website, so essentially you give us the website, we'll do an audit, we'll give you a basically a report saying these are the things you need to change, reach out to us. That's something we're more than happy to provide. Right. Thank you very much, everyone. Really hope you found this useful, and we'll see you again for the next lesson.